As with all computer equipment, the processor and motherboard components can be damaged by electrostatic discharge, ESD. Labels such as these are common indicators that electrostatic sensitive devices are present. It is essential to use ESD precautions such as wrist straps or foot or heel straps when handling any ESD sensitive products. In order for ESD protection to be effective, straps must connect to a common earth ground system. Straps must be worn against the skin and should fit tightly. Straps must be kept clean and in good condition.
To prevent possible damage to socket contact pins, please leave the protective socket pin cap in place prior to processor installation and always promptly re-engage the cap after processor removal. Place the motherboard so that the socket cam side is facing you and the lever hook is on the top left side. Place your thumb on the Remove tab of the socket pin cap and your index finger on the opposite end of the pin cap. While keeping pressure on the cap with your index finger, carefully pull up on the Remove tab with your thumb to remove the protective pin cap. Using your thumb and forefinger to hold the lever hook, push down slightly and to the left to clear the retention tab. Rotate the lever toward you to the fully open position. Put your thumb on the lower edge of the load plate and push down lightly on the pivot point of the load plate hinge with your index finger. Rotate the load plate to a fully open position. Visually inspect the socket for signs of damage or contamination. If the board passes the visual inspection, continue with the installation process. Use your thumb and forefinger to hold the processor by the edges of the substrate. Note the Pin 1 indicator marking. Make sure the Pin 1 indicator of the package is aligned with the bottom right corner of the socket. Using only vertical motion, carefully insert the processor into the socket. Visually check that the processor is well seated in the socket housing and that the alignment keys are located in the notches of the package. If the processor is not properly aligned or seated, carefully remove it using only vertical motion and repeat the previous steps to reload. Close the socket by rotating the load plate onto the package lid. If any misalignment is present, stop immediately and recheck the processor placement. Rotate the load lever back to its original latched position with your left hand while pressing down lightly on the load plate with your right hand. Ensure that the lever hook end is secured under the retention tab.
After removing the heatsink, the socket and CPU package may be contaminated by thermal grease. Gently clean the top surface of the package lid and load plate without disengaging the load lever. Use an upward rolling motion with a wipe to capture as much grease material as possible. Change to clean wipes frequently to avoid smearing grease over the processor edge. Note that even after removal of grease contamination, the package lid may still appear cloudy. Care should be used to avoid contaminating the processor edge with any thermal grease that may remain in the gap between the package lid and load plate. Do not use wet chemicals such as acetone or alcohol to aid in cleaning. These chemicals can cause contaminants to flow into the socket area. Use care to avoid spreading grease contamination through finger contact. Gently disengage the load lever slowly with one hand while holding the load plate with the other hand. Do not release the lever abruptly, as this could cause processor ejection and damage to the socket or processor contacts. Clean the load plate to remove any additional grease contamination. To avoid damaging the contacts, do not remove the package when cleaning the load plate. After grease contamination removal is completed, proceed with processor removal.
Grasp the processor on the edges of the substrate. Using only a vertical motion, carefully lift up the processor. Then close the load plate and latch the lever. To protect the socket contacts, always replace the socket pin cap after removing the processor. Hold the socket pin cap over the load plate with the Remove tab toward you. The image of the lever on the pin cap indicates the correct loading direction. Engage the latch of the pin cap onto the cam side of the socket first. Then engage the cap onto the hinge side by pressing down firmly until the cap snaps securely into place.